start.
Good afternoon, dear friends. So now we will start today's presentation. And in our first session, we're very delighted to invite Mr. Lin Ning, Director of New Energy Research Office of HRC, to give us a presentation. Mr. Lin has been engaging in international SHP training, bilateral project cooperation and management, SHP-oriented policy research, electromechanical equipment expert, etc. for over 20 years. And he has been involved in contract signing, project management, and the implementation of over 40 hydropower stations in foreign countries. Meanwhile, he is in charge of some intergovernmental science and technology cooperative projects in China and other developing countries. And this afternoon, he will give us a presentation entitled Cooperation and Financing on Clean Energy for Belt and Road Countries. So let's welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Tang. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. But actually, here you can find my previous title, and I was able to be the division chief of foreign affairs, and right now I moved to the Center of New Energy of HRC, and also the general manager of Amiata Hydro Equipment Completing Corporation Limited. So you can find my email, and you can contact me if you have any question or if you have any inquiry for the potential projects. So today I will give you a presentation about the Belt and Road Cooperation and Financing of Clean Energy. So actually it includes two parts. One part is Belt and Road Cooperation. I will just introduce some policies and measures and also achievements that Chinese government has been done before, and also when not Chinese government is still pushing forward this kind of a policy. And the second part will include the financing modes on clean energy. So I will just talk about the different approaches and measures for financing on smart power and other renewable energies. So let's talk about background. So I think Euro-China always adheres to the policy of opening up, and right now we still advocate that we will open up further, and also we have the reform policy, so which is under the Belt and Road Initiative. So we say we give the priority to 5 belts, including the policy consultation, trade promotion, infrastructure connectivity, financial cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges. So the spirit of Belt and Road Initiative is the extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. So later I will just introduce the details one by one. So what will be the policy consultation, what will be the trade promotion. So the most important is about people-to-people exchange, because we need to show our hearts to others, and also we need to make friends in the world. So finally, that's the spirit is like the extension. Extensive consultation. That means we discuss all the issues with each other, and joint contribution. We join our efforts to contribute to the global village construction. So we, of course, we contribute together and we share the benefits. So that's the spirit of the Belt and Road Initiative. So if we talk about the history of China, after the new China was founded in the People's Republic of China was founded in 1949. So a startup period, actually China is going to be open to the outside world, and we set up a diplomatic ties with different countries, including the developing countries, most of them, but also developed countries. So the reform and opening up policy actually started after the third plenary session of the 11th Central Committee in year 1978. That that's a millennia actually is a very important mark for Chinese history. That's very important because after this committee and the policy was officially advocated and formulated. So we say we open up our door and we make some reform interiorly and outside, right? So the chief designer, I think you better that remember this great man for Deng Xiaoping, Mr. Deng Xiaoping. So actually, is the chief designer of the Chinese opening up policy and also made reform in China to remove the old systems and to learn from the outside world, so to revitalize Chinese nation and also Chinese people, even the improve the Chinese economic strength. So actually, this great man was my hometown fellow. So he was born in Sichuan province a long time ago, and he was a great revolutionist. And he created the theory of white cat and black cat. Maybe if you read some books about Mr. Deng Xiaoping, also about the history of reform and opening up parts of China, so you know this kind of theory of white cat or black cat. Because during that period, before the opening up, we have been 10 years cultural revolution period. So in that period, students stopped their study and teachers stopped their teaching. And so our Chairman Mao, the founder of People's Republic of China, and encouraged students to learn from the farmers, from workers, and not only learning from from the theory, from the books, but also they should learn a lot from practice, from the fields, from the farmers, from villages. So that his advocation, his encouragement was formulated by somebody. We say with somebody, we call them Fogan, the Gang of Four. Gang of Four that refers to the bad guys in the Central Committee of CPC. So they're formulated Chairman Mao's instructions. So all the students stopped their study and went to the countryside and to work in the countryside in the field. So there was no qualified students to go to university. So if a student wants to go to university, so they should be tested or they should be examined. I would say it's not examined by series, but also recommended by the villages, by the countryside. So in that 10 years period, actually Chinese education in China was ruined, was spoiled, and there was no qualified students, talents. So during the reform and opening up policy at the beginning of the policy, so we just recover the education. So the students were not work in the fields, and all students were be put back to the schools and the senior high schools, and after that we have a examination, like entrance examination, and so that the student can go to school, can go to a college or university. So for in the field of economy, in the economic field, and we have a revitalization. So we have a new policy. We encourage privates to set up companies and to reform the government companies. So, but there's still lots of different voices. So because in China, our system is a socialism, right? Socialism that outside a lot of countries adhere to the capitalism, right? For the economic reform, there's still a lot of constraints or resistance. So Deng Xiaoping created this kind of theory. He said that, like we say, socialism is White cat, right, is very beautiful, and white cat is well educated and well behaved, right? But the captain is like a black cat, right? So it's sometimes there is the rules we cannot accept. They use different rules. That which cat can catch a mouse? Yeah, that's very important. So even the white cat cannot catch a mouse, but actually it's not a good cat. If a black cat can catch a mouse, it can be a good cat. So they shall be said that we right now for economic developments we should neglect. We will not pay much attention to talk about the socialism or capitalism. So which kind of a policy, which kind of regulation or legislative framework can help to promote the development of economy? So which one will be good? So that's the theory of white cats or black cats. That means don't discuss, we don't negotiate white cat is good or black cat is good. So any cat which can catch a mouse is a good cat. So that's a theory. So starting from 1978, after this 11th Central Committee meeting, the third plenary session meeting of the 11th Central Committee, so we started to have a formal or official reform and opening up policy. So the Belt and Road initiative is exactly based on this kind of policy. So it's an opening up policy, it's a reform policy that we just extended our economic ties, political ties with more countries. We want to extend more, friendly friendship with more countries in the world. So that's the good man called Deng Xiaoping, Mr. Deng Xiaoping. He was born in 1904. Actually, that period is feudalism. That's still in the ruling period of Qing dynasty. You know, Qing dynasty was the last dynasty was overthrown in 1911 by Sun Yat-sen, right? By Kuomintang leader Sun Yat-sen, the founder of Kuomintang, right? Then, so Deng Xiaoping was died in 1997. What I did that he couldn't say the returning of Hong Kong to mainland because he passed away I remember that in February 1997, but Hong Kong was returned back in July 1st, on July 1st, 1997. So what a pity, right? Actually, he always say that I wanted to go to Hong Kong to work and to see the streets, to see the cities, but we couldn't realize what I did. So we should show our respect to this great man. But he went to Shenzhen, right? Shenzhen is just up there to Hong Kong, right? So if we go to Hong Kong, we can just land it in Shenzhen, and we can go to Shenzhen by high-speed train, and we can cross it. Still a border like a customs. We still have customs. So if you go to Hong Kong or Macau, we need a special permit. It's not like a passport, but still a permit, right? So we go through customs. We can enter the Hong Kong, yeah, Hong Kong. But they have visited Shenzhen several times, and actually Shenzhen was economically revitalized by Deng Xiaoping with his, we call it Lanxun. That means his visit to South China. And South China means Guangdong Province, Shenzhen City, right? So because he want to benefit economically Shenzhen from Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is the financial center, one of the financial centers in the world, and also is a very big financial center in Asia. So with development of Hong Kong and they have said that we should open our door. First, we should open our Shenzhen city to Hong Kong, and to make Hong Kong to be stimulated economically by to make our Shenzhen to be economically stimulated by Hong Kong, right? So that's right now Shenzhen's economic development is so fast, and right now it's just similar, same as the pace, economic development pace of Hong Kong. So, and after Shenzhen, and so with the policy coverage, so we opened all the cities, and from the coast area to the inland area, right? So like right now in Hong Kong, after Shenzhen, so we have another financial and economic stronghold in China called Shanghai, right? Shanghai, after Shanghai, we have also Beijing. Beijing is not only a political center, but also an economic center, financial center, right? But Shanghai occupies a very important role in the, in Asia, right, for its financial strength and economic strength. So here is quote about the this negotiation. We call it negotiation or meeting between Margaret Thatcher, is a previous Prime Minister of UK. So there did discussion about the returning of Hong Kong. So, but actually from beginning, Margaret Thatcher was very strong, very tough. She told that the Japanese that we can give back, we can give back the Hong Kong to your jurisdiction, but it's only namely, right? But we should use the same system. We use all the officials. There will be no change. But still, we should have a very strong ties with Hong Kong. That the Japanese showed his determination that if we could not take back Hong Kong thoroughly, completely, we can use our force. There will be no problem. So he just gave the proportion to Margaret Thatcher that in July 1997 we must take back Hong Kong to our mainland. So after that, the UK government just agreed, made a compromise and agreed the Chinese government to take back Hong Kong on schedule. So after the return back of Hong Kong to the mainland, so we solved the problem. Another city from Macau, right, from Portugal's government very easily. So we took back Portugal's, right? We took back Macau from jurisdiction of the Portuguese government. But still, we have only one issue about Taiwan, right? Actually, just the street cross streets. So that the Chinese government is determined to also to take back Taiwan in the future. And it's for finding that also we have a lot of planning. Actually, we in our the transport industry. Also, we have planning to connect Taiwan to our high-speed railway in Fujian province. So just the bridge. So after taking back, we just set up bridge and cross Taiwan Strait to reach to Taiwan by the high-speed train. So, and also Chinese central government also is making some policy and to invite the Taiwanese to stay in China, to live, to work, to live, to stay, and to the mainland. Actually, we have a lot of Taiwanese citizens. Also, are the friends working in Shanghai, in Beijing, or in Zhejiang province. Right. That's Deng Xiaoping at his old age. He loved climbing mountains and to keep healthy. So he's my hometown fellow. I'm so proud of him. So the New China was founded in 1949. So after the founding of New China, so we have a first 5-year plan started from 1952 to 1957. So during the first 5-year plan, we achieved a lot. So for industry, you say the average annual growth is 18%. 5 years, 18% annually. So they increased the GDP, I mean, the value, industry value increased by 128.5%. So manufacturing increased 83%. So annual growth is 12.8%. The agriculture also increased too much, then 25%. And infrastructure, railway construction increased 22%, 33 new railways built, road construction increased 100% because before the new China also we have a war, you know, we have a anti-Japanese war. So after that we have an interior war because we have two parties right now. We are the Communist Party, right? And CPC, right? That's during the interior war, so we are fighting against the Kuomintang, Chiang Kai-shek. So starting from we have a war, anti-Japanese war starting from 1937 until to 1945. So it's 80 years for anti-Japanese war. So this anti-Japanese war is also one part of the Second World War. The Second World War, right? So we contribute a lot to to achieve the victory of the Second World War. And after the anti-Japanese invasion war, so we have the interior war starting from 1945 to 1949. So there's another 4 years. So finally, Chiang Kai-shek and his remains and his followers was drive off, and they left the mainland and crossed the strait, Taiwan Strait, and stayed in Taiwan. So Chiang Kai-shek and his troops just left mainland China to Taiwan. So that right now China was not ruled by Kuomintang right now. So their policy is going to be worse and worse day by day. So the Chinese government is not satisfied with this kind of policy. So they are so close to the US states, and also US states interfere into Taiwan affairs. So every day we got a news about the American some provoking mayors. So our spokesman always just defends and our policy is defend our policy. So a road connecting Qinghai, Tibet and Xinjiang, Tibet open to traffic. So there is a period, you know, Qinghai and Tibet and Xinjiang are always just located in the high elevation plateau. Is most of the time are under ice and snow, and very difficult to set up the roads and to build the railway. But right now, even we have a high-speed train, so to Tibet or to Xinjiang. So if you have a good access, and of course the living standard will be improved too much, so you don't worry about the trade, don't worry about the tourism, don't worry about the education. So everything will be changed. So in China, we say if you want to be rich at first, you should build the road. So that's a proverb in China. So if you want to be rich, you better build the road. So that's very important. So also we have railway like Baoji to Chengdu railway. Baoji is a city in Shanxi province. Chengdu is in Macomb-Tang Sichuan province. And also we built the Wuhan Yangtze River bridge here. That's Chinese workers and Chinese designers built, by ourselves without any contribution from the foreign engineers. So average income, urban workers' income increased 42.8%, farmers' income increased 30%. So that's achievement. You can see the achievement is so great in the first 5-year plan. So the second 5-year plan also, we have a very good dream. Also, we have a very good plan that we suffered setback. Why? I think in most some officials they feel so proud maybe for the first 5-year plan that they forget to put all these policies into practice, and they going to start to exaggerate. For example, if for example for the rice field, because the Chinese people rely on the rice very much, so that period in the villages and for the rice field, if one hectare, for example, if 1 hectare can produce how to say it's 10 ton, so 10 ton rice, right? Rice, and that during that period, so we want to realize the community. They say everybody can be enjoy the fruits of community. So they say after the first 5-year plan, we are so proud that we made so many achievements in every field. So some of them are feel so proud. So we can say we can realize the combination. Maybe in 10 years, in 20 years, so there are some started to have exaggeration. So actually, in practice, if the 1 hectare can produce 1 hectare rice field can produce 10 ton rice, that there is a report to the upper layer. So they want to show their achievements. They say, oh, our 1 hectare rice field can produce maybe 20 ton rice, or even 30 ton or 100 ton. So every village, every countryside are on the same, are tending nice, right? They don't just based on the truth. So during that period, also our leaders just is just sitting in the office and they don't know what happened in the countryside. So we feel that there are a lot of suffering, right? So and another thing that sorry, just minutes. The second 5-year plan. Sorry, we need to restart again. Sorry for that. So let me continue. So during that period, we suffered from the disastrous climates and the disaster. So first, nothing industrialization through the irrational movements. So we have irrational movements. That means we should have a leap up. Yeah, leap up. Yeah, like jump, right? We should be very quick. We should jump fast to realize the communism. So there are some irrational movements. So boasting and telling lies. So there are also a lot of huge waste. And during that period, also there is a climate change and also disasters, the disasters, right? And flooding and the droughts, yeah. So this also irrational movements also discourage the farmers issue the housing because they don't how to say is stick to the truth practice. So because if you exaggerate the yield, and that means the farmers will just give more, contribute more rice to the governments. That means in the farmer's home there is no more rice to eat. So that means the farmers were discouraged, right? So and of course during that period there are some political movements just arising from the how to say is arising from the boasting and from the lies, right? That's also hindered the development of China's industrialization. And during that period, people got amazed. I think that, yeah, got I think it's not rational, and so they think about a lot of invasion from outside. So we should prepare for battles. We should go to mountains to dig big holes, and we should dig a lot of how to say hidden area. So otherwise, the United States and the former Soviet Union were just invade China. So that's big problem. So we missed our direction actually in that period. So agricultural collectivization and positive effects. So during that period, so the land belongs to the government. So the farmers cannot own any piece of land. So we have a different collectivities. So actually we have a community, we have a collectives, and farmers will go to the field together. So in the morning time, early morning, maybe 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, the head of the villagers will just call everybody to go to the field to work together. So after that, in the afternoon, also everybody was just dismissed by the head of the villagers. But so if you are a grown up, you are elder man, so they give you 1 score, maybe a 2 score. But if this person is under age of 18, so just give you maybe a half score, right? So the yields will be distributed by the scores at the end of the year. So actually the yield is not enough for supply. Yeah, actually the yield of the land is not enough for supply. So and the end of the year, maybe we can get some rice or get some foods. But after maybe 3 months or even 6 months, there's no enough food. So we should have maybe supplements food like vegetables. Maybe we got some wild vegetables from the field. So this kind of a collectivization policy cannot stimulate the courage. They cannot stimulate farmer to work for themselves. So they work together. It's not good. So based on that kind of a disadvantage, so we need to have the reform and opening up policy. So actually the opening up policy and the reform policy so can improve the advantage and benefits of agriculture, right? And also the township enterprises going to emerge, and even the private enterprises started, right? We need to encourage private business. If I have more yield from the fields, I can sell to the markets, and I can sell to others. Maybe I can use the money to buy other food, others yield products. But before that, we cannot sell our products. We cannot sell. So everything belongs to the collective, belongs to the government. So we just work, and after that, you get some yield from the field, yeah, from collective. So that's tiny economy. That opening up. So we were use market economy. That our market is based on socially based market economy, right? So the contract system is going to be packaged, is going to be improved, and we started to learn from the foreign experience, and we look out to see what has happened in foreign countries. So, and we started to attract investment from foreign companies. So after this kind of policy, so the foreign company can go to China to invest, to do business, and they also share the management experience with the Chinese company. So we have some Chinese staffs working in the foreign company, and we learn a lot. And you see, we have a socialism economy. So actually, we enjoy the advantage. So we have some benefits from the capitalism side, but also we have our benefits of our socialism. So we have a capitalism for a good planning, that we keep the market for the socialism. So that means capitalism has plan and socialism has market. So we have a macroeconomy management. So we will not interfere too much into the economy. So we base the economic benefit, the development on the market. So if there is market demand, that means the market will be the economy will be oriented on the market development. So we just have a macroeconomy management, right? We don't have a microeconomic management. So we open the domestic markets and to the foreign countries, and so that the advanced technology can be shared with our Chinese people staff. So we have a lot of a joint venture company, and even set up a independent, how to say, the set up venture company here in China. So we learn lots about technology. So gradually, so we have our home growing enterprises. Right now, you see, we have a famous one like Huawei, right, for communications, Alibaba for e-commerce, and we have Sino Chemistry, right? That's a state-owned big company. We have a Dini is a quite famous private company for vehicles, right? So we have a lot. So that's actually the benefit of the opening up policy and the reform policy. So if there is no opening up and reform policy, I think China will be not as far as in the existing situation. So but we still struggling to develop its economy right now, owing to the great leader Deng Xiaoping and owing to their contribution for this kind of reform and opening up policy. And now we started to be rich and strong. So for this Belt and Road initiative, also we started to have a re-globalization, but with the Chinese characteristics, and we joined the WTO in 2001. But before that, we are not a member of WTO, so we cannot enjoy the advantage of this world trade that right now we can enjoy. That even Chinese government started to make some rules or regulations with other countries. So in foreign and reserve and is increased, So we have a lot of reserve. We have a reserve in United States, and we have a debt in the United States. So that in 2008, the financial crisis interrupted this kind of flows. That's the global financial crisis. So the world economy was affected, just like this period. So we are infected much by COVID-19, and also there are some, how to say, a person like exclusiveness, right? So due to natural reason, yeah, this kind of person that's good. So China's export drop, and this leads to economic transformation. So we need to have an economic transformation. Yeah. So that's some background, and I will not mention more details. Otherwise, I cannot finish my presentation today. So to solidly promote the Belt and Road construction, so deepen the mutual beneficial cooperation. So we want to deepen the cooperation and inject the new blood into the development of China's open economy, but also we want to contribute to the world economic development. So finally we want to build a community of the shared future for mankind. So that's the words that our leader always advocated. So we wanted to build a community of the shared future for mankind, for this global village. Right? So actually, Belt and Road Initiative, we call it D+R initiative. So it's an abbreviation of the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st century maritime Silk Road. So that's actually there. In ancient time, we have two economic belts. One is on the land, we call the Silk Road Economic Belt, and another is on the ocean, we call it 21st century. We call it the maritime Silk Road. So right now we want to revitalize and with the trade, with the consultation, and with the extensive cooperation. So we want to revitalize our Silk Road initiative. So this Belt and Road initiative was proposed by President Xi Jinping. So on the morning of September 7th, 2013, when he delivered a speech at the Nazarbayev University in Kazakhstan. So the two leaders declared that we were jointly build the Silk Road Economic Belt. So you say opening reform and opening policy was, declared and advocated by Great Man Deng Xiaoping, and our Belt and Road initiative was declared by, planned by another great leader. So my not is our President Xi Jinping, right? So that's our leader, and we can just talk about a little bit about his family. So actually, Xi Jinping was born in Shanxi province, and his father, for Xi Zhongxun, is a very great revolutionist, just like Deng Xiaoping, like Chairman Mao, and he is a comrade of Chairman Mao and Deng Xiaoping, followed Chairman Mao to fight against the Japanese invasion, and also to liberate War China, and to drive Kuomintang to live in China. So then Xi Jinping was born in this kind of family, and also seeing his mother also spared life also. She is a revolutionist and also working hard for the Chinese Communist Party. And that at the age of 16, that's the period of the 10 years revolution, cultural revolution period. So I just mentioned the students stopped their study and went to the field in the countryside to work in the countryside to learn from the farmers and the villagers. So the same with Xi Jinping. He just left school, left Beijing at the age of 16 and to go to Shanxi, his hometown, Shanxi province, and work with the farmers and for some years, and he started to work as the farmer. And then because he studied, he has knowledge, and he started to be director of the village. And after that, they started to be the director of the township, after township to the county, and then county level, and then to the city, and to municipality, and to be governor of Zhejiang province, and to be the mayor of Shanghai. So finally, he was promoted to be one member of the central committee of the CPC. And right now, he was elected. I mean, this first time, plus his second period, and they elected him to be our chairman of our country, right? So he started his career from the bottom and from the villages. So we are so glad to visit the farmers, to see the situation of the countryside, to understand what the farmers need. That we always traveled to the poorest place, and to realize the well-being of the farmers. And this lady is our first lady, called Peniga. Actually, she is a very famous singer, right? Before, and she was the first actually master. She got a first master degree for singing in China. She's well known even before she was well known to all the families of China. But before Xi Jinping was famous, she was more famous than her husband. Yeah, because they could sing very well. Yeah, and they got married, and she helped Xi Jinping to also step into the United Nations organizations, and to be the new way of AIDS, right? AIDS patients, to help to do some welfare and work for the world. So our presidents just came from the field, and so we loved to go to the field to see the farmers and talk about agriculture, and to check what's the expectation of the farmers, and to lead officials to help the farmers. So here that's the ancient the ancient economic belt and the maritime Silk Road. So here I'm on the mention one is on the land. So the economic belt started from Xi'an, right? That's the capital city of Shanxi province, and then across Lanzhou, that's the capital of Gansu province. So after that, it reached to Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. And then go to Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and Iran, and Istanbul. So that Middle Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and to Tehran, that's Iran. So, and after that, reach Istanbul, right? Istanbul, that's Turkey, right? And then Moscow, that's Russia. And Duisburg, that's Germany. Here, that's, and the final destination is in Rotterdam. Rotterdam is in, the Netherlands. So that's the land Silk Road. So we have another maritime Silk Road starting from Guangzhou, and start from Guangzhou or Quanzhou, Fujian. Quanzhou and Guangzhou is in Guangdong province, and across Melaka streets, right? Then go to Colombo, Calcutta, India, Colombo, Sri Lanka, and here also across the cities of Jakarta and Indonesia, Singapore, right? Until Thailand goes to Africa, Nairobi, and in Kenya. So from Nairobi to push forward the north forward and Suez Canal and cross Suez Canal and reach the Athens in Greece. So from Athens reach to the Venice, Italy, and from Italy and arrived in Duisburg in Germany. So that's the merge together and then go to Rotterdam. So that's a two how to say it, two roads, right? Two routes. So one route is on the land, so by horse. So another route is on the ocean by boats, by big ship. So the Silk Road just means the road on the route on the road. The Silk Road started from Luoyang and Chang'an. Just mentioned, I mentioned Xi'an. The ancient time Xi'an is called Chang'an, right? It's the capital of Shanxi province, but also is the capital of the Han Dynasty, Western Han Dynasty, right? And Eastern Western Han Dynasty. The capital is Xi'an, called Chang'an, and the Eastern Han Dynasty is the capital is called Luoyang. Sorry, there is a mistake. It should be Eastern Han Dynasty. The capital is Luoyang in Henan province, right? So the Silk Road started from 2,000 years ago, a long time ago, and land-based trade and cultural exchange. So not only for trade, but also for exchange of culture between East and West. So I mentioned that finally they can reach to Europe, Northern Europe, right? So this route is usually used for transport silk and ceramic products. And because China is a homeland for silk and ceramic, but also we know in Europe also there are some products for ceramic. Right? So we supply the silk and the ceramic to Europe, to Asia, to Middle Asia, to Europe, into other countries, even Africa. So if you visit Istanbul, so actually Istanbul there is a famous palace called the Topkapi Palace, and it's so big. If you want to see the exhibits, you spend 1 or 2 days, and you can find the ceramic pieces from China. That's a witness of the Silk Road. So this for economic change and for political consultation and even for cultural exchange between East and West. So the Silk Road was named by German geographer for the Richthofen, and he first named the Silk Road. So Silk Road is not named by Chinese. So we just translate from Silk Road because the road is used for silk products. Because the rich man in Europe loves Eastern silk products very much. So Zhang Qian in the Western Han Dynasty started to have a journey to the Silk Road to set up a diplomatic ties with different countries and to prevent war and to keep peace and have a cultural exchange and to have a trade. Bantao in the Eastern Han Dynasty. So Bantao, the first person, who made the exploration is called Zhang Qian in Western Han Dynasty. But the second is called Bantao. They also traveled to the west, to Europe, through the east, in the Eastern Han Dynasty. So in Tang Dynasty, there was a very famous monk. We called Xuanzang, and he went to India we look for the Buddhism scriptures to find the books for Buddhism. So during Tang Dynasty, the Buddhism was transferred from Nepal, India, and to China, from Tibet and to China. So, but during this transferring period, also there produced some different, we said, derives the different styles. So we even have a Tibetan Buddhism that also we have our inland Buddhism that's different. So if a friend from the Southeastern Asia, so maybe we have a very famous movie, or there is a very famous figure for the Monkey King, right? The king of monkey. Actually, it's a monkey. Figure is monkey, but the monkey is so powerful. So the monkey and the other two companies just escort the monk, that's a Xuanzang, to go to India to get the Buddhist scriptures. So that's or we call this famous novel is Trip to the West, or the Trip to the West. But the movie, we have a different movies. They call them King of Monkey or Monkey King. That's it in Tang Dynasty. So that's the first trip of Tang. So the before Christian, right? 138 before Christian to 126 before. So almost years, eight years. 8 years. Right? So the richest, the farthest location is in Iran. Yeah, Iran at that time. The place for ancient, that's Iran, right? There is Iran. In the here is a Banchao, right? The two Banchao in Eastern and that we also visit to far than Zhangqian, right? But there's after Christian is a little bit later. So that the trip of Xuanzang, the monk Xuanzang, happened in Tang Dynasty. So Tang Dynasty capital is Xi'an, and started from Xi'an and to Gansu, and to Xinjiang, and then to Kazakhstan, and to Uzbekistan, and Bishkek, right? And then to Turkmenistan here, and then to Afghanistan here. So then come southwards to Kabul, Afghanistan, Peshawar, right? In Pakistan, Islamabad, and India here, Nagpur, right? At that time, India and Pakistan are just the same country, the same place. Then they come back to also India here to get the scripture and go back to the capital of Tang Dynasty again to demonstrate the Buddhism and to share the Buddhism culture. And even you go to Xi'an, it's ancient city, you have a tour in Xi'an, you can find the scripture, Buddhist scripture, preserved in the Great Goose Pagoda, Great Goose Pagoda, you can find the scripture there. So second is the maritime Silk Road. So maritime Silk Road is a maritime passage between ancient China and foreign countries for trade and cultural exchange. So it's known as a marine ceramic road and a sea spice road. So we provide a ceramic from the east to the west, but also we got the spice from the Europe, from Africa, Europe. So that's the road for exchange, right? Of the trade. So this is also left by French Orientalist Safi in 1913. So it's not named by Chinese. So the French foreign English, I think this French can speak Chinese. Of course, then you say which name is a Chinese name for something. Sa is the surname and he is a given name. So it's always the same route and has two starting points. So one say that's starting from East China Sea in Jiangsu province, and the other say that is starting from South China Sea from Guangzhou, Guangdong province. But during the Ming Dynasty, we have a very famous navigator in Ming Dynasty called Zheng He. He made 7 trips to the west by boat. Because in Ming Dynasty, we have the birth of the capitalism. So Ming Dynasty is a very experienced for boat industry. We can make them very big boats, and our boat industry is #1 in the world. And his journey across the countries in Southeast China Sea, just across South China Sea and through the Malacca Strait, and then go inside the Indian Ocean, and then go through the Suez Canal and go inside the Red Sea, and reach the East Africa and Europe, and covered more than 100 countries and regions. So in Malaysia, so if you visit Malacca, the city of Malaysia, you can find the temple of Zheng He, and there are also some witnesses in Kenya. That means Zheng He also visited East Africa, in Kenya, in Nairobi. So you can find some remains that's from China through the trade. So that's the navigation line of the Zheng He. It started from this place, right, from Jiangsu or from the Guangdong, and then to southeastern part of China, and then go to the South China Sea and cross Malacca Strait, and visit Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and it goes to the Indian Ocean, and visit Sri Lanka and the Indian, and then go to the Red Sea, and go to the East Africa and through the Suez Canal, and go to the Europe, like the inland part of Europe. So that's actually that's a big boat. That's the prototype of the boats used for navigation. I think we made 7 trips to the west. And here is a compass, right? The compass used for navigation, so you know the direction. And this is the stating and to describe the story that Zheng He visited Sri Lanka. Also during that period, Sri Lanka just suffered from the natural disaster. So Zheng He just distributed his rice and his goods, because he had a very large group of boats, and we have lots different kinds of goods and also different kinds of foods, and he shared some to the royal court of Sri Lanka. So this is preserved in the National Museum of Sri Lanka, and they describe the story that Zheng He helped the governments, helped the people there. So you just can compare that our civilization and also the Zheng He trip compared to it's a Portuguese Magellan, right? Magellan, the very famous navigator, and also another Italian navigator. So during the Renaissance period, that's our Zheng He trip is early, person earlier than that, right? So China's version of globalization aims at a common prosperity. So that's the globalization with Chinese characteristics. That's a first Belt and Road Forum for international cooperation, held in Beijing. So we want to re-globalize, and that we, with our good intention, with our good cooperation initiative. So our globalization aims to, promote a common prosperity and will not be affected by ideology or religion. So there will be no issue about ideology or religion. So any religion, any ideology are welcome, right? Many attended the Belt and Road Forum and what attended in the second forum than the first. So that means this kind of initiative is quite attractive. So let's have a 10 minutes break.哎，等会哎，发现我在那个给学员上课。 Okay, my friends, let me start again. So just now, I just mentioned the background of this initiative that we're going to introduce a conference. So as I said that we just covered the 5 fields, 5 priorities. So first one is the policy consultation. So that means that we have a multi-channel and multi-level consultation. So this consultation is not only about the politics, but also it's about the different policies and regulations, and in order to promote the globalization. So second is the infrastructure activity. So I think this is easier to be understood. So we have transport, energy, and communications projects in the world, and we cooperate with each other and to improve the transport and the transport facilities, and to map the energy outputs, and we communicate to all the words to have achieve a good understanding. And trade promotion, of course, trade is very important, and not only the trade of the goods, but also Western trade. So we have more means of the trade and financial cooperation. So we not only we set Chinese bank set up the sub branch overseas, but also we invite the foreign banks to set up branches in China, like the insurance companies and financing companies set up the branches, sub companies here, and we have credit system to share with other countries. So the most important is about people-to-people exchanges. So make friends and help each other. That's very important. So if anything you want to accomplish, so you should just deal with the people. So you should make friends and to make others understand your intention, understand what you want to do, and so through understanding, mutual understanding, so you can I think you can achieve your targets or finish your work. So if we talk about the people-to-people exchange, I think there's a very good example in ancient times, and the strategist called Zhuge Liang in 3 Kingdoms period. I think it's around 2000 years ago. He was a very famous, very known strategist in China. That was in the world sometimes. So he said that winning somebody's heart is always better than conquering him physically. So that means he advocates peace instead of war, and he wanted the war to keep peace sometimes. And in 2000 years ago, so there were 3 kingdoms in mainland China. Actually, China is not unified. We have 3 kingdoms. This Shu Kingdom is located in Sichuan province, in my hometown, and during that area, there are a lot of minorities, like ethnic groups, minority groups, and they always invaded this kingdom to capture their people and to occupy their land. So there was a very famous leader of minority group called Meng He. So the place is located in Yunnan province. He always captured the people. He was very brave. He was very brave. So that's he was, captured by Zhuge Liang for 7 times, but for this previous 6 times, every time when he was captured, Zhuge Liang just released him back to his place, to his territory. So because the Meng He didn't agree to surrender, right? So you can kill me, but I will not surrender because I don't want to follow you. That after the 7th capture, the Meng was, how to say, compromise so that also you are so great, you are very good strategist on following. So after that, the peace is kept between these two territories. Then there is no more invasion or from the minority group. So that story about the capture Mongpo for 7 times. So that's happened in 3 independence period. That's actually so Zhuge Liang, the great strategist, won the hearts of the Mong herd. So Mong was surrounded and also compromised. So another in the business circle, so there's a very great businessman called Li Ka-shun. He's still alive and he's at the age of 95 in Hong Kong. Stayed in Hong Kong, but he had a lot of the business in the world, not only in mainland China, but also he has another overseas business in UK, in the United States, in Europe, and other countries. So he has been named the world's richest Chinese by Forbes from 1999 to 2014. So he said that I'm doing business just to making friends and then to do this. So our first priority is to make friends, and then we do business. Then we can do big things because he knows how to deal with personal affairs. And if one time his eldest son was kidnapped by a very well-known kidnapper for Zhang Zixiang, he suffered, I think, big harm in the $200 million for getting back his son. Right? That this kidnapper finally was killed by Chinese sentenced and for sentenced death by Chinese government before the getting back of Hong Kong, because after getting money, getting a huge amount of money, we just spend the money, and also they want to kidnap another tycoon in Hong Kong. He was seized by Chinese policeman in Guangzhou province, and sentenced to death in the mainland. After he planned to be brought back to Hong Kong, but according to the law, because the logistic framework of Hong Kong still use the UK's laws, so you can't find a good lawyer, and there's no death penalty. So that's a big problem. So we want to go back to Hong Kong, and actually, I would say some days we want to be released. We did it before, by this time, Chinese mainland punishment said that you made mistake, you made a crime in mainland, so you have to be sentenced in the mainland. So he was sentenced to death. So objectives, the Belt and Road and the initiative just serve as a new platform for all countries to achieve global cooperation. So that's objectives. And to achieve the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, so SDG. So that's our objective or package. So the ancient spirit, the ancient Silk Road embodies spirit of peace and cooperation. So that's the spirit of our Belt and Road initiative. So peace and cooperation. So any country don't worry that Chinese will invade anybody. This will not happen, right? We adhere to the peace, and also we adhere to the cooperation spirits, and also want to share what we have with others. So for the openness and inclusiveness, that right now the world is going to be exclusive. So we have different groups like developed countries like the United States and European countries, and even this Australian countries always just join together to exclude others, right? And this is not globally accepted, right, actually. So we adhere to the openness and inclusiveness and mutual learning and mutual benefit. So we learn from each other and we benefit each other. So this is the spirit of the Belt and Road Initiative action. So that rely on existing bilateral and multilateral cooperation. So through the existing effective regional cooperation, and we wanted to jointly create a community of interests, destiny, and responsibility of mutual conflict, trust, economic integration, and cultural inclusion. So that's a community of shared future for mankind. So this community, global community, that with a common interest, so with a common destiny, and we share the same responsibility, right? So we discuss politically and we conduct and also we have economic integration. So we will not separate one country from another. We have economic integration and cultural inclusion. So we share the cultural roots and we share what we have and our advantage and we share your advantage. So that's it. Shared future for mankind. So achievements are until so far over more than 2,000 the cooperation documents like MOM and agreements have been signed with 150 countries and with more than 30 international organizations in the world to build the Belt and Road. So this initiative becomes a global consensus, right? And in China also with 600 countries with the COVID-19 really there's no new cases for COVID-19 and we cover the world with anti-epidemic materials and we provide the tested agents and vaccines. So China is also carrying out a multilateral economic and trade cooperation, ensure the local production and supply of people's consumables and keep the global chain of supply. And successful industrialization. So this the outputs account for half of the world production. So we still doing lots and we provide the cement for the infrastructure and we provide the auto vehicles. And so especially that we collected the transport and subways and we have the outside world to do the infrastructure activities. So that's achievements after the Belt and Road Initiative. So you can say we have a very good roads, we have a high-speed train. So right now I think it's a 450 kilometers per hour high-speed train under test. So we can, in the future, maybe we can try this one. And from China to Laos, we have a China Laos railway. And in Tehran, we have the Iranian government to build the subway and ports industry. So that's a key projects among the Belt and Road, like Gwadar Port and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and the Parallel Water Irrigation Project in Afghanistan, and the Merawi Dam and Heliport Peninsula. So not Jakarta Bandung high-speed railway. So we are building this one for the scenarios for the in Greece. So that's a Gwadar port here in Pakistan. So we construct Gwadar port and we have finished the CPC. That's a China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So this is CPC. So we call the Economic Corridor between China and Pakistan. So with the accomplishment of the corridor, so the oil can be transported directly through water port to the mainland China. So we don't need to go through the Malacca Straits. So it's consuming the time and cost is very high. And in Sri Lanka, also we are hoping to build a Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. Hambantota port in Sri Lanka here. That's an infrastructure. So that's a China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. So there are lots of the power industry, like wind farm, EVP, or solar power plant big ones, and involves with the port construction, involved with also the industrial parks there. So it can benefit the local people and the Pakistani governments, and it can shorten obviously, so you can improve the infrastructure, like a road, like highways. So that's some water energy projects. So I will just skip over as quick as possible. So I mentioned what it was. So that's a Yukisen River Basin Planning for Democratic Republic of Congo. That's the projects under the Belt and Road Initiative. So we make the cascade planning for hydropower developments. Here is also hydropower planning of the Sakhalin River Basin in Papua New Guinea, PNG, Papua New Guinea. So the total hydropower capacity can be reached to 2 gigawatts. Here's a hydropower planning on the mainstream of Ugam River in Kazakhstan. So it's cascade development is around. So 6 cascades, 6 hydropower plants will be built on this stream. So here's the LMTLM hydropower station in Pakistan. So this is called Pakistan's 340th project. So it's helped to relieve the shortage of the power in Pakistan, to stimulate the industry's development in Pakistan. Here's the Turkey Nari hydropower station. So we have another cooperation, intensive and extensive cooperation with Pakistani governments based on the Belt and Road Initiative and CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridors, the key priority of the Belt and Road Initiative between China and Pakistan. So Kohana hydropower station. So actually my close friend is Mr. Japanese, actually is the Japanese manager of this South Asian company of the 340s group that is doing the hydropower plants. And I recently just one project is just under commission and testing. It's in trial operation. Not hydropower plants in Pakistan. This is in Congo, RP Congo, the Republic of Congo. Here's a Jumbo 2 hydropower station in DRC, in the Republic of Congo here. So in Angola, also we have some hydropower plants. In Sudan, also this Malawi hydropower plant is quite famous in the Chinese EPC services. The irrigation and water supply project in North PDR and irrigation project in Mali for irrigation water supply. And also for water supply project in Malaysia and some Parallel water supply project. And that's a irrigation project in Afghanistan. So that's all is related to the well-being of the people and to help the people for the clean water. So the principle of the change come follow right now. So they have an EPC projects also they have investment. You have they got the how to say is financing from change government. So when they have an EPC project or country projects, they adhere to some principles like a mutual respect. So we respect local people and to be much more committed to the local environments, developments, and the local well-being of the people, and to help the local people, right? To make friends and to make them understanding what our objective. So the help is not only not to just to destroy the local environment. So mutual benefits. So during the construction, so this project will benefit the local people. Otherwise, this cannot be acceptable. This will not be harmful to the local environments. Also, we take the social responsibility. So during the project implementation, we set up schools and we set up churches, mosques, and help the local people to repair their houses. And I know their big top and is Tapia Gorge projects in Zambia. And after the construction, I visited the construction sites. So there are a lot of those small villa houses used for the staffs, workers, or offices. After according to the planning, after they finish all the programs, all the structures will be used for as a college. So that place will be college. So there will be some classrooms and also the official buildings. So all these buildings will be not a temporary one, that will be permanent. So used for offices and for classrooms and for teachers, for the college staff there. So forcing some localization. So if the Chinese company wanted to business or projects in foreign countries, they should be much more attend to localization. So they should learn from the local and to listen to the local. And finally, they should just be rooted in a local place. So they can set up a local company there and to help the people. Finally, to the local people. Yeah. So even we have some Chinese people stepping outside to become to be the leader of the minority group in Africa and to share what we learned, the knowledge, the culture. That's great. So HRC engaged inside Belt and Road Initiative. So this is a building, like the training, seminars, and technique exchange and sharing that we are doing. So scientific and technical cooperation, so including the joint research and the developments. We set up the joint laboratory, we have this joint syllables, and we have a technical transfer and sharing and the framework of intergovernmental cooperation. So HRC got the sponsorships and support from the Ministry of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Science and Ministry of Finance to have it's a multilateral cooperation and bilateral cooperation with different countries. So we have accomplished a lot of research and development projects. The third one is a project demonstration for commercialization. So that means with this, promotional financial help from the governments, we set up demonstrative projects. So with the project, we share the technology, we share the know-how, we share the expertise, and finally, we just can set up some commercial projects with the local people to promote the development of the new energy. So that's capacity building. I think I will not mention more. Just show some pictures. So we already organize a lot of trainings there. Let's say some seminars is minister level of seminars. So that's ministers and vice ministers come to China to have the discussions and to have the sharing of the expertise and know-how. So that's we are going to outside, going to Rwanda and Zambia and Nigeria to host the trainings, and also we invite the operation and maintenance staff to China to have a 3 months training courses in China. So that's a scientific and technical cooperation. So we have instead of China-Pakistan Joint Research Center on hydroponic technology, and we have a technology transfer research and training center for Africa. That's Mr. Xi Jinping and the former private, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan unveiled our center. So our the China-Pakistan Joint Research Center is #1. Awesome hydroponic is #1. And that's unveiling of the PACE activity. So also we have our patent rights like containerized mini hydroponic plants. Containerized, so all the community sees a container, so we lock the door and everything will be in automatic control and operation. And that's a SCADA system that we use for hundreds of hydroponic plants. Here is based on Belt and Road, so we cooperate with Southeast Asian countries like Pakistan, and cooperate with Indonesia, Asian countries. We based on Europe and Serbia. We cooperate with Serbia to set up a center in East Europe, and based in Serbia we set up the cooperative center with African Union. So we set up 4 centers. So the centers were used for capacity building, research and development, project demonstration, information transfer, or technical information sharing. So demonstration commercialized. So projects we finished lots, even hundreds of projects regarding the project feasibility study and the planning, design, equipment supply, installation, testing, and commissioning. But they are not. You interact with things 40 projects, and also shifting from solar hydropower plants, we are doing the solar and wind hydropower plants for water pumping, for water purification, for irrigation and fertigation. So HRC, I will not mention more. That's what I'm doing here. So second part is financial modes and clean energy. So I will spend half an hour to talk about financing modes with energy. So for developing countries, sort of end, so I can feel that especially in this pandemic period, and we feel we are facing the economic downturn, and a lot of countries need fund. So for infrastructure construction, like hydropower, solar power, and wind power, but for China also our export is decreased, and even we cannot go abroad because of pandemic policy. If we go abroad, and we have a quarantine period around 2 weeks or 3 weeks at home, and even we go abroad, we will have a 1 week or 2 weeks quarantine in foreign countries. It's not suitable for us to do up, but we hope that not this year everything will change so we can go forward. So they, of course, they export decreased. So governments want to encourage export and to give financial help. So the kinds will be export cash credits and export service credits, and also have concession loan. The concession loan has been the yearly interest rate is very low, like 2%, maybe less than 2%, and also we have decent facility. But mostly applied is the cash credit. Cash credit means that the buyer will just lend from the change bank, like from Central will just give the insurance. And after that, the foreign company, the foreign side, will just pay back to the Chinese bank. Right? So actually, export buyer's credit is a kind of commercial credit. So the bondholders should be credit versa for if they can pay back. So we should have a due diligence. So if they can pay back, that's difficult to get the money. So the lenders will be changed by like Exim Bank, export and imports, export and import bank, right? And also CDB, China Development Bank. So general condition, so the contract value will be no less than $2 million. The more the better, that it's better not be more than $50 million. So if it's more than $50 million, it's takes more time, and you are not put into the policy. So if the project is less than more than $50 million, so it can be approved within the management administration of the provincial branch of the bank. But if it's more than that, they should be reported submitted to the upper layer, so the headquarters of bank for decision. So at least 75% of goods or services should be from China, or even 80%. And of course, the goods and services should be under the export list. So it cannot be like some special, like the weapons, of course not. So there need to be guaranteed. So it can be the bondholders itself or governmental authority like Ministry of Finance, or the sovereign guarantee. The term can be middle or long term, up to 15 years. So even we have a 12 years, but we have a 3 years grace period. So interest rate will be around 5 to 6% of annual interest rates. So like labor cost some margin because the bank or insurance company will make the profit. So loan amounts will be up to 90% or 80%. It's up to the negotiation, and the equity will be must. So you should have a money. You should put equity. So if you don't have money, in cash is quite difficult to lend money and to borrow money. So export credit insurance is a must. So we should have a seller assured to be the insurance company, and insurance company seller assured just have to apply for the export buyer's credit. So apply for financing, and it will have to negotiate with banks and investigate the owners for the due diligence. So seller assured also have to ensure the export credit. Why it plays a very important role? Because if the bondholders cannot pay back to the lenders, actually the seller assured will pay at first to the lenders, and then the close will just ask for the payment from the borrowing side. So that means the risks of the lenders can be controlled and mitigated. We have a due diligence of the bondholders. So, for example, you wanted to borrow, so we should have a due diligence about your company. So also we will take the credit study reports of the projects, right? So we should take the EPC contractor, right? So we should take the commercial contract terms. So what will be the term, what the payment terms. Of course, the project itself very important. So we will say we can get back the money in a shorter period, say, for example, maybe 10 years or less than 10 years. And so what were the benefits? That's a guarantee for the payback period. So for the power industry power projects, the policy is the payback period very important. So you should have FIR, means a financial interior return, FIR, financial interior return rates, right? That's very important. This kind of FIR is more than 15% or even 20%, that's good. That means 5 or 6. So rather than speaking 5 or 6 years, you can take back all the investment. So if approved, the intention of loan will be issued by the bank, and the bondholders just submit the application form and other documents and confirm guarantee back. So guarantee back you will provide. So after that, there will be a minimum valuation. So then negotiate about agreement, loan agreements, and pay the application charges and loan will be released. So not so easy. Usually it takes around 1 year. That if have the project is already under construction, so maybe it will take around half a year. So if you have projects undergoing, that means you already input some investment, and so it's not easy to suspend the projects. That means we will continue. So even there are some difficulties, so that's not safer. So this is application. So this either complicated, I will just skip over. So we have the supplier's credit. So this is not popular because the supplier's credit means supplier means like I would say it's a EPC contractor sign a project contract with you. You are the vendor, right? Vendor. So then you are the father, so you should be lender. That should be father. Then that all. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm confused. So suppliers means supplier means the EPC contractor will borrow the money from Chinese bank. So there's a partner, and then give the money to finish the project, finish your projects, right? So that means the partner, the supplier, or the EPC contractor will, take the responsibility. So if you cannot pay back to the supplier, so that means the supplier will just pay the money to the bank. And of course, there will be salary. Then the supplier can ask it for the money from your side. So that means the supplier will take the risk. So this is not a supplier want to do, but so the company want to do this. We want to take the let's see, so we want to take the risk. So we have the buyer's credit. Buyer's credit like this one. So I think this one is much more clear. So Chinese supplier or Chinese EPC contractor. So buyers is vulnerable for, we say maybe a project owner, so the company. So maybe you have a company, so you want to do projects. You want to develop the hydropower plants with our HRC side. It's the HRC, is the EPC contractor. So we sign a EPC contract. So the payment terms and also other contract terms will be defined. So we want to get money from China. So we recommend a bank, maybe Bank of China or the CIBC or other maybe import and export. Yeah, it's the Exim Bank. So also Exim Bank or the bank will ask for salary to give the insurance. That means if there is no payments from your side, salary will pay at first to Chinese bank, then ask it for your, obviously your guarantor to pay that. So you need to find a guarantor for the governments like but for private companies, not easy to find the governments to be the guarantor. So you have to use your own assets or your buildings or your land or your fixed assets to be the guarantee in the bank. So the money will be given from Chinese bank to the EPC contractor according to the payment terms. The money will not go to your bank account. It will go to from Chinese bank to EPC contractor according to the human terms. But you will pay the money back to Chinese bank together with the interest rates defined in the loan agreements. If you cannot in this country, so the seller will pay the bank then will go to the guarantor to take the payments. So that's the current relationship between EPC contractor and your company and the bank, the seller and the guarantee. Right? So this is a BOT. BOT structure is more complicated. Actually, there's not so many companies like to do the BOT. Except that this company is very familiar with local conditions of the foreign country. So even they have projects, they have a lot of business in the foreign countries, right? So they have buildings with the governments, have buildings with the location, the pace of the projects. So at first they should set up the project company, we call the vehicle company, right? Project vehicle company. So this company will be registered in foreign countries as a project company. For example, hydropower development company, right? So, so on the left side, so there will be not of a, relationship with other companies like sponsors. Maybe there will be some shareholding company, and there will be some members, maybe from the banks or financing agencies. Before this company is a vehicle company, is a project company, they don't have enough money to develop projects. They need to have a financing from outside, from China, from Chinese side, and also they need to have a contractor, they sign a contract. Maybe they need headquarters, right? Headquarters, but maybe their brother company can do contraction. Also, there will be equipment suppliers to be involved, and they need to have maybe have an investment from the other banks in China and involve the sellers for insurance. So they need to finish the financing and also to get the equipment, get the EPC contractor on the left side. That's one part. So but on the another side, so if before starting the project, you need to get the permits, right? Permit for the land use and the water resources. So they need to have a business or have agreements with the central or local governments. So if you want to get the permits, maybe they need to go to the Ministry of Energy of your country. They need to go to the maybe local government to get a land permits, land use permit, water resources, water license, and also they need to sign feed-in tariff agreements like tariff agreements, PPA, right, or purchase agreements, right, with the Ministry of Energy, and also for the projects, they need to have an insurance company to insure the projects during the implementation, and for the local operation maintenance, need to sign a agreement with local company for the future operation and maintenance. So that's a little bit complicated. So if this company is not familiar with this country and other government's relations, so they will not do the BOT. And all the investment will be from the Chinese side. So BOT means that they will operate and transfer. So after some years, they will transfer according to the BOT agreements. They will transfer the project to the local, to the governments there. So case studies for projects named. So there is one in Ghana. So hydropower plant is quite big, 404 megawatts. So the owner, the Ministry of Energy. So the guarantor is the actually Ghana government is the Ministry of Energy. So it's sovereign guarantee actually. So the project value is $597 million. So 10% is equity. That means equity is Ghana governments. So 45 Chinese from Chinese concession alone is around the 2% of annual interest. 45% bearish credit is around 5% annually. So it's the EPC contract with Sino Hydro. Right? So Sino Hydro signed the EPC contract and also find the same bank and the Sino to get the financing. The financing period 15 years, so 12 years, and plus grace period of 3 years. So before this project is quite good, so you can pay back within 10 years, so maybe around 6 years. So the loan amount is 9%. So one part is concession loan and one part is a cash credit. So lender is China Exim Bank. Cash credit is insurance offered by Salishu. So already finished. So this case study you can find this. Sino Hydro is the Chinese side. So EPC contractor. So Ministry of Energy, actually Ministry of Energy will not be the party to sign the contract. So maybe they find the electric company of Ghana to sign this company, right? So sign EPC company. So the electric company of Ghana to be the partner, and from the Exim Bank will just give no will just will be paid to Salishu according to contract term by installments, right? But Ghana side, the sovereign guarantee will be provided from Ghana government, so that's the sovereign guarantee. And bearish credit is from the Salishu, so it's from near. So if the Ghana government just pay the money, I mean, with the electric company of Ghana to put the money to Exim Bank. Right? The insurance company will just give the insurance for this business. So that's a list of data needed for applying and financing. So if you need more information, I think you can write email to me, or so you can share this to you. That's an idea I will review after this presentation. Of course, you can contact me for the potential projects. We have some ongoing projects we can do about the financing function. Thank you so much. So, do you have any question?
Thank you, Mr. Lin, for your excellent presentation. And if you have any question, please type your question in the chat box, and we can see.
Yeah. The process. Okay. So later I will just share this one. This one too, and make it bigger so you can see the list of data needed for financing. Okay. So this can be based on the template projects, and so we will see the process or the progress of the projects. And at first, I think I can give you more for applying for the financing of the cash credit. So first one, you have a project, and you need to finish the previous study reports. So we will check the previous study reports, and so we see this one is good projects, and the payback period is less. So we will sign the MOU together. So that means maybe independent company to be the EPC contractor. We sign MOU. So after sign MOU, you check from your side to get the guarantor. So maybe you can find a bank to be a guarantor. So you give us the bank details. So we will discuss with the details. We discuss with the bank like Exim Bank or some commercial bank like Bank of China, right? So we will check, and we will just give the also criteria, what's the brief of the project. This is the project projects is evaluated by us. The project is good. They must spend within 6 years after the construction. Maybe past 2 years construction. So that means 8 years for the payback period. So we define the bank of China. Also, we work with one reseller. So we go further and go further. So they will have due diligence. So we will check your equity. They will check your obviously your projects, and they will check your company, right? So they will check also your guarantee side. So we call guarantor. So after that, we can go further. So we will do our EPC contractors. So we will sign the EPC contract. At the same time, we will sign the loan agreements. So after this finished, so we will sign we started design of the chemical plants, and we started to procure agreements and supply. So from your side, you can do the several part of the design simultaneously. So that's the general the process. But this one I can just give you some idea. Right? So I will just give you later.
Okay, any other questions?
So if you have more questions, you can just give to our colleagues, and they will just transfer to us. So we will answer questions offline.
You can also find the contact information of Ms. Lin in the document. If you have any questions or you have some potential cooperation, you are only welcome to come to us. So I think that's for our first session, and our second session will start at 6:30. So please be noted that it will start half an hour later than our original schedule. So we'll see you there, and that's all for this session.
Thank you so much. Keep contact. Thank you.